Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content that we're throwing up. And make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And yeah, let's begin. Okay, so continuing our series on Too Powerful for Marvel movies, we're going to be a little obscure here, and we're going to cover the character of Zom. Now, Zom, here's the thing about Zom. All right, Zom is crazy powerful. Okay, so wind the clock back, right, to Strange Tales issues 155 through 157, right? This is kind of the irony of it all. The Living Tribunal actually debuted in 157 as a result of this story. But this was a story that took place involving Umar invading Earth and then getting into a fight with Doctor Strange. Now, who is Umar? Okay, so in Marvel Comics, you guys have heard of Dormammu. Pretty sure you guys have. There's also his sister Umar. They're a member of a race called the Faltine, F-A-L-T-I-N-E, the Faltine itself. Now, the Faltine are basically beings of like pure magical energy, and they exist inside their own dimension. The issue with this was that with Umar and Dormammu, they weren't like the rest of the Faltine. They were in terms of power, but they wanted more like physical power, right? Like armies, different things like that. And the result was that when one of their members called Sinifer tried to stop them, they basically killed him. And the result was that they were banished from their own realm and they took up residence in the Dark Dimension, where they've resided ever since. So for those of you guys who remember Dormammu from the Doctor Strange film, that's how he got to the Dark Dimension. That's kind of his origin story summed up in an exceedingly fast way. But suffice it to say, these folks are crazy powerful, right? I mean, they're exceedingly powerful. Now, the way the story played out was that at the time, Umar had invaded Earth and then Doctor Strange wasn't able to defeat her, right? I mean, you're basically talking about somebody who's equal in power to Dormammu. And Doctor Strange couldn't defeat her, and the result was that Doctor Strange was looking for like a last desperate attempt to win. And one of the things he'd been told by the Ancient One was that at one point in time, a being named Zom was basically locked away by the combined forces of Eternity and the Ancient One, or at least one of the Sorcerer Supremes, as well as Dormammu, right? Like it took all of them to basically defeat this guy because he was just so powerful. Nobody really knows where he came from. Nobody really knows who created him. He was just there one day. He's almost like Mangog in the sense that presumably some race somewhere created him out of anger or something like that, but we don't really have an answer to it. Regardless, the result was that Doctor Strange saw this as an opportunity to summon Zom and then use Zom as a means to defeat Umar. The issue with this is that when Zom showed up and did defeat Umar, he then turned to Doctor Strange and was like, I'm going to eradicate your universe and every other universe in the multiverse, right? I'm going to destroy everything. And where Doctor Strange tried to control him, the issue was that Zom was so astronomically powerful that he simply couldn't be stopped, right? There was nothing Doctor Strange could have done. And that was the thing. Like Doctor Strange and like all the reality manipulating characters and like all the Avengers and all the X-Men, all the superheroes and all the villains, they all could have banded together and they all would have been destroyed. They all would have been wiped out by Zom because he's just that insanely capable in terms of the power he possesses. This went into Strange Tales 157 and the battle raged on, right? Like it was just this huge thing and it was like Doctor Strange is going to lose and everything's going to be destroyed, and then suddenly Zom gets whisked away. It's just kind of like, I've had enough of you, you're done, your purpose is served, you were summoned here to defeat Umar, Umar's now defeated, gone. And just like with a wave of his hand, Zom was gone. And that was the Living Tribunal. And that's when the Living Tribunal made its debut, right? Because what it said to Doctor Strange was, you basically summoned a being of incredible power. It would have wiped out the entirety of the multiverse. You have no clue what you've done. You don't really even understand the power you possess. Because of that, you don't really deserve to have this kind of power, and I'm going to destroy the Earth. Now, it's kind of a thin jump from A to B, from, you know, you made a mistake to I'm going to wipe out your world or wipe out your universe because of it. It's kind of a big jump to make, but hey, comics back in the day, I guess it made sense. But the overall idea here is that it took the Living Tribunal, the judge of the multiverse, to successfully defeat Zom. And that's the kind of power we're talking about. If right now, let's say that Donny Cates was writing, you know, with them writing Doctor Strange, let's say right now with everything that's going on, Galactus consuming Dormammu and then like Doctor Strange summoning Zom as a means to defeat Galactus, Zom would do it. He would destroy him and then he would wipe out everything else. It's his character is just destruction, right? Like all it wants to do is wipe out and destroy everything it can get its hands on. And that's one of the reasons why the character is just too powerful for the MCU. One, because of the power he possesses, and two, because of this desire to destroy everything. It gets kind of intriguing because one of the things that I guarantee people are going to ask is like, who would win between Zom and like the Marquis of Death or something like that? I don't know. Like I have no clue. There's no way to know. I mean, when you're talking about that level of power, it really doesn't matter. Like you're talking about a level of power so extreme that with a wave of his hand, a being could wipe out an entire universe. It might as well just be a stalemate. That's why he's just too powerful, is because with someone, let's take for example the Marquis of Death. Right? Let's talk about the Marquis of Death for a second, right? Let's talk about Clyde Wincham. All right, Clyde Wincham, with the power he has, right, waving his hand and wiping out an entire universe. The Marquis of Death is really more like really kind of held a vendetta against like Reed Richards, right? So he was a being that just like had motivation and had drive and was just like, I want to kill superheroes and I want to target them specifically, the Fantastic Four, and then just kind of call it a day. right? And that's it. Like the power he possessed was more for like messing with people or achieving his own individual goals. You look at somebody like Dormammu, is acquiring power, right? Like expanding his sphere of influence outside the dark dimension. With Zom, it's not that way. It's just a desire to destroy. That's why he's very similar to Mangog, right? Like Mangog is some being that was created out there somewhere in the universe that basically channels all the hatred and anger of his dead race, and then like will wipe out the Asgardians. Like everybody in Asgard is afraid of Mangog, including Odin himself. Like that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? Like Mangog first shows up and like Odin craps his pants. That's basically what happened in the story. Odin's just like, okay, so like we're screwed. We're donezo. Like that's really what it was. With Zom, it's the same way. And how do you combat that, right? Like how do you take a character like that whose sole purpose is to annihilate and destroy everything because that's what it does, and then throw it into the MCU and make it work? Because if Marvel did this in like, let's say they did this in like 20 years, right? Let's say it's like 2039, and or at least at the time that we're making this video is 2039, and you have like Franklin Richards, right? Like this reality warping character whose power is on par with like Galactus, and you've got Galactus himself, and maybe you have like Hyperstorm, the son of Franklin Richards from the future, and maybe you have like Mr. M, and you have, I don't know, who else would you have out there? Maybe some cosmic entities or something like that. It wouldn't matter. Zom would still destroy them all. It would take the Living Tribunal to step in, and you can't really deal with that kind of power. The MCU is really not set up for that kind of power. It's not set up to introduce a character like that and to make that character work, because none of the heroes would survive. The only way to do that is to scale him down, right? Because even Doctor Strange in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is weak. Now, he's really more on par with like his comic book version, but the reason why I say he's weak is because in the comics he's weak. He was much stronger back in the day. At the time that story was written, Strange Tales 156 and 157, Doctor Strange was painfully powerful. It was insane how powerful he was, right? There was a spell for him to do anything. And so if a being showed up who could overpower Doctor Strange, it meant something. It was just like, okay, so like they are a broken character. Like they're super OP. That was the basis behind how he functioned. Like, let me tell you something. Thanos shows up with like the Infinity Gauntlet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like Zom is there. Zom will just be like, who cares? And just like wave his hand, destroy the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos is done, and the day is saved. And then he obliterates the world, so the day is not saved now. Like, that's basically what would happen. Like that's how his character unfolds. It's the best way I know how to describe it. It's the best way I know how to explain someone like that. Because with that level of power, the ability to manipulate and destroy entire universes, it's astronomical, right? It's a huge amount of power that's out there. And because of that, you can't really make that work. You can't really take that concept, put it into the MCU, and then expect it to be successful, because again, the Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't really set up for that. I mean, there might be ways around it. Like if they did invoke the Living Tribunal, then that would probably work. But any kind of power that originates from a singular universe and is confined to that singular universe, so like an Infinity Gauntlet or something like that, it's not going to work against him. It's a level of power that is relative to everything in its universe against a multiversal force. It doesn't work that way. It's like saying that one is bigger than two. It's weird. But I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to see. I mean, if they scaled him down in power to a huge degree and made him someone who was like slightly more powerful than Doctor Strange, then sure, then like all the other characters could all team up and they could all fight Zom and then defeat him and the day would be saved. But the purpose behind him, the reason why Zom is so fearsome is because he's so powerful, right? Like you go and you read World War Hulk, and it's this idea that like against the Worldbreaker Hulk, Doctor Strange channeled the power of Zom. He was just like channeling a fraction of Zom's power. Zom wasn't even back in full form. If he was, it would have been over like that. Like that fight would have been done quick, fast, and in a hurry, and everything would have been obliterated. It's just it's almost like he's a representation of death, right? Like the destruction of all things. I mean, there already is a being out there. There already is a cosmic entity that represents the destruction of everything. But if that didn't exist, it would be Zom, because just how outrageously powerful he is. It's the best way I know how to explain it. Imagine a being who can do virtually anything and is short of the Living Tribunal in power, but more powerful than like Odin and the cosmic entities, the other Skyfathers, Doctor Strange, the Ancient One, all that kind of good stuff. He's just right there in the middle. He's right there in the middle where he can't be defeated by anybody on Earth or in the multiverse short of the Living Tribunal. And that's really the only way to beat him. Someone like Protege could do it because he just copies powers. But aside from that, like it would take somebody like that, somebody with mimicry on a universal or multiversal level, and then that would basically be it. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.